I am Dr. Catherine Macy, and I am here this evening as part of staff here at the School of Martial Arts to give a talk on being a creature of habit. And this is one of my favourite topics. I could talk for hours on habits, but we're not going to tonight, I promise. I love talking about habits. They're one of my favourite things because I feel like they are the thing that you have some control over when you want to make changes in your life. Got somebody else coming in. And they're also one of the things that are the hardest things to change as well. So I'm going to get a bit geeky about this because, I've got some, in my way distant past, I have some neurological training in terms of looking at brain images and that kind of thing. Sam, you just want to go check? Okay, great. So I kind of understand a little bit of brain biology and that kind of thing, just a tinsy bit, but enough to know about how our brains work and how it influences our patterns and our everyday life and pretty much everything that we do. When we're babies, we learn by mimicking and we copy other people. And what happens in our brain when we're little babies is that the synapses start to form, the connections start to form between the synapses, and the more a connection is fired, which means that, hey Alex, the more that a signal goes down that particular nerve, then the more something that's called myelination happens. And myelination is a little bit of an extra coating that goes around that connection between the two neurons, and it makes the signal travel faster, which means that it's easier to do that again. So once you've done an action several times, there's more myelination, and it's easier for your brain to do that action again, which is why when we're practicing martial arts or, well, pretty much anything, right, the more you practice, the easier it gets. And you might notice that if you practice something and say you're practicing commencement, and you're practicing breathing in like this and your legs get straight before anything else has gotten to the top, and you do that a lot, then when you try to fix that and have your legs go evenly up as everything else is going up, it gets really difficult because that myelination has happened. So anytime the myelination has happened, that's going to make it harder for your brain to be able to do something different in that case. And it doesn't take a few times of doing it, it takes, several times of doing it, right? So what we know about humans as we evolve, as we grow up from being, obviously from babies to children to adults, everything that we're learning along the way has had some level of myelination, some level of us being, the connections are getting stronger and stronger for various activities that we do, right? So if you're in a family that, everybody sits down for dinner in the evening, say, and that's what you do, everybody sits down for dinner, you're going to be accustomed to doing, around the table is what I mean. You're going to be accustomed to having dinner that way, right? If your family has dinner sitting on their knees watching the television, when you get older, then you're going to be accustomed to doing it that way. And it's just like you feel comfortable doing it that way because your brain has gone, this is really easy for me to do. I know how to do this. And your brain it's not exactly lazy. It's not lazy. It's very efficient with its energy. It wants to do the efficient thing. So whatever is the thing that you've done a lot, that you've got a lot of myelination about, which makes that signal go super fast, that's going to be the thing that your brain's going to want to do, because it's very efficient to do that thing for your brain. It might not be efficient for you to do that, but it's very efficient for your brain to do it that way. So anytime we're thinking about, creating a new habit, which is in part what the challenge of the week this week is, which is to create a new exercise routine and stick to it between now and the end of the year, anytime you're in the situation where you're trying to create something new here, you have to not break, but change the pathways that are going on in your brain from what you've normally been doing. So if you decide, for instance, that, okay, I don't know, 3 times a week this week I'm going to get up half an hour earlier than I normally do, and I'm going to go for a run. And you don't normally go for a run, right? So if you decide that's what you're going to do for your challenge, that's great, that's awesome. And the first day that you wake up, you're going to be like, oh, it's too early, I don't want to do this. That's, because your brain doesn't want to get up just yet. It's not used to getting up. So you have to trick your brain into making it super, super easy for yourself to do these things. So anytime you're making a new habit, if you read Atomic Habits, if you read not The Power of Now, I'm forgetting, Charles Duhigg's book, any of the habit books will tell you to make something very, very easy and make it a small step, okay? So if your goal is to run for a mile and you haven't been doing any running, that might be a lot to do if you haven't been running at all. So the very minimum part of that is probably putting your running shoes on. So wherever you are, wherever that is in your day, like say it's like pretty much like straight after you get up, you're going to put your running shoes in a place where you're going to basically trip over them in your pathway. So maybe you put them right by your bed, so you get out and put your shoes into your feet, into your running shoes. Awesome. Maybe you put them in the bathroom. I don't know, wherever it makes sense for you, but you make sure that you interrupt with something physical that's going to remind you that you're going to do that new thing, and then allow yourself to carry on with doing that thing, right? Because if you can do that first baby step, the very first baby step, you're more likely to carry on and do the rest of it, right? The same is true for setting a new habit at work. You probably need a reminder to do that new thing. Probably need a reminder to be able to jog yourself. You need a trigger for when that thing's going to happen, right? So when we're talking about the habit loop, we talk about a trigger, and we talk about an action, a behavior, and a celebration. So an action is the trigger, like something's happening that's making your behavior change at that moment in time, right? There's something. And then the behavior is whatever it is that you're going to be doing. So it's going for the run, it's sitting down to meditating, it's coming to martial arts class, it's coming to Tai Chi class, whatever that new trigger is, whatever that new behavior is, you set that emotion. And then you want to celebrate, you want to reward yourself. With habits that we want to break, like smoking or, eating unhealthy food or anything like that, there's some little reward that you're getting, your brain's getting, or, swiping on our phones, that's giving all of that dopamine, right? Any of those habits that you want to break, you want to make sure that you're replacing the dopamine that you're going to get from whatever activity that you're doing with a positive habit. And it might not be dopamine, it might be serotonin, right? You want to In fact, it's better if it's serotonin, because serotonin is a tranquil energizer rather than an innervator, which is exacerbating the anxious feeling that you have. So we want to do things that are going to have us be in a tranquil, energized state. So meditation is a great example of that. Being out in nature is a great example of that. Spending your 10 minutes every day, like the challenge of the week this week, is like that. And silence, I should say, is like that. So anything that's going to calm your body, calm your nervous system, allows you then to move forwards from an energized, a tranquil, energized state, rather than from an innervated state, which is more like jazzed up and anxious, right? So any of these things can be helpful. And given that we're creatures of habit, you can bet your bottom dollar that, you know, at some point along the line, something's you're gonna forget, or you know, life's gonna happen, and your automatic thing is to go back to what you were doing before you decided to do this new thing, because we're creatures of habit. Like our brain wants to do the old thing because it's the energy efficient for the brain thing to do, right? So we have to engage our prefrontal cortex, the part that makes all the decisions, and engage that prior to doing the thing, and allowing yourself to then set up the structure so that you can have that new thing happen in your life. Right? And there's this thing where you don't want to be hungry, tired, hungry, angry, lonely, or tired anytime you want to do your new thing, right? It doesn't work, because your brain is going to default to something that is much more comfortable for it to be doing. Your whole nervous system is going to want to do something that's comfortable. Anytime we do something that's different, something that's new, there's a certain level of uncomfortableness for the brain, because it's forming those new connections. It's forming the new stuff that's in there. It's taking more brain energy than the original thing is going to do. So, which is why it's hard to change habits. And it's a normal human thing. It's like everybody has this, and some people are better at putting their new triggers in place than others, and, you know, making those changes. But it's definitely a difficult thing. So when you're thinking about setting up a new habit, whether it's the one from the challenge of the week this week, which is, as I said before, or just to set yourself a new exercise routine for the week and stick to it between now and the end of the year, or whether it's setting your meditation practice and making that be a habit if it's not already, and looking at that and going, well, is my meditation practice how I want it to be right now? Is it serving me in the way that I want it to be serving me? Are there some tweaks that I need to make with it? Do I need to sit for longer? Do I need to sit more often? Do I need to do some breath work while I'm doing my meditation? Any of those little things that you might want to add to your meditation practice to make it deeper, to make it more fulfilling for yourself and for you. What is it that you can change about that habit? I love the work around beginner's mind, and constantly having the curiosity for myself to say, am I coming to this with beginner's mind? Is this the best thing for me today? How can I be more fully supported in what it is that I'm doing? And allowing that question to be present at the same time as sitting and doing the thing, right? Or, you know, just doing the thing, but allowing myself to have that curiosity around, even though I'm a creature of habit, how can I change my environment a little bit so that it supports me more? So, yeah, I think I'm going to leave it there for right now. I don't want to carry on for too much longer on that. But it's interesting to notice the little tiny things that you do when you sit. Like, what do you need to do to get yourself comfortable? Are you doing extra stuff that you don't need to do to get yourself comfortable? Are you giving yourself more leeway? Like, do you just go straight to what Miss Donahue calls locking it down? Or do you give yourself some extra time to have some thoughts and then start your meditation practice and for real, right? I just pay attention, see what's going on. Are you using the breath? Are you paying attention to your posture? Are you paying attention to your mind as it settles down and allowing your mind to settle down and to let go of the thoughts that are coming in and allowing them to go? Your whole meditation practice is habit. And the more you train, like we say in martial arts, practice exactly what you want to perform, because we're creatures of habit, right? So, yeah, let's take that and we'll sit tonight. Thank you. So sit comfortably, knees below your hips if you can. Spine straight, chin parallel to the floor. We'll start with a few breaths together. Inhale, all the way down to the belly. Hold. Exhale, slightly longer than the inhale. Inhale. Hold. Exhale. Inhale. Hold. Exhale. Inhale. Hold. Exhale with a double exhale. Let the breath come in. Let the breath go out. Pay attention to what you're doing as a matter of habit. And focus on the breath. Be here now.